Hello. Hi, this is Shane Schultz of Serenely Speaking, also the spokesperson for the JGF organization. I want to welcome you to my show, Arisen Strength, where we support, we encourage, and we celebrate with those who have talents and dreams that have been suppressed for whatever reason. And I have my producer here, Wayne. He is going to be doing some things in regards to some pictures and some slides and some videos. And I want to say thank you in advance.
You're welcome.
All right. So tonight, folks, this is the first episode of Arisen Strength. And I have to tell you that just like anything else, it brings a lot of nerves and so forth. But we're going to get through this, just like I would encourage anybody to get through the challenges that they face. To give you a background of how Arisen Strength came about, it basically, I happened to be in a group where I was doing intensive therapy for my own challenges, which is mental health. And I came to realize that I was not in a good place. I had a desperate feel to myself. I was questioning myself. I was self-loathing in a lot of ways. And what ended up happening is that I finally said to myself, you know what, I just don't know. I mean, at the time I was thinking about what am I going to do for work? Because I had a 20-year career with medical billing and consulting. But I've been out of that field for 3 years, and that's a lot of days to be out of that particular field. So I said to myself, what is it that I'm going to do for work? And I was desperate, and I finally said to myself, you know what? Maybe I'm supposed to use my experiences to help another. And to make a long story short, my heart beat twice. And that's something that didn't happen for the better part of 3 years. I mean, I knew that my heart was there and it was beating, but I really didn't feel it like I would normally feel in the past. So I got those two beats of the heart, and I came to realize that I was being told by my higher power, which I believe is my higher power is God, and I believe that I was given a purpose. And so I decided that, okay, I was going to use my experiences to help another person. Well, I started writing a book, and it was called My Strength from My Struggles Within. I'm still writing that book because if anybody who knows anything about writing a book, it's very easy to start. It's extremely hard to finish. And I realized that I wasn't very good at it in the beginning. And so I was getting frustrated because things weren't correlating to the chapters before it. And, you know, I was getting frustrated, and I was starting to self-loathe again. And I decided, okay, well, I don't want to give up on my faith in this pursuit of my purpose. So I decided, all right, I'm going to actually go out and I'm going to speak on behalf of the patient, which I call from the patient's point of view. So I started writing a speech. And over the past year, I've written 2 40-minute speeches, a couple 20-minute speeches, 2 poems, and on my way through a book. Well, as that came along, I realized that I wanted to do even more. And I think that my higher power finally said, you know what, you can do more because I've brought you this far. So let's do another challenge. And all of a sudden I was introduced to podcast. And I don't know about all of you there, you probably know better than I do. I really didn't know what a podcast was. I basically, I knew that it had to do with a computer, but I didn't know, I figured that it was more difficult to do than what I learned. And when I realized that a friend of mine, Wayne, of which I introduced to you before, he started doing a show, and then all of a sudden it started becoming real, and it was a possibility to do my own story and my own radio podcast. And that's what brought Arisen Strength to light. And we're going to actually have the second part of how Arisen Strength came into play at the end of the show, because that's when we're going to celebrate an amazing event that really made a lot of difference in my life, and so many more. So, so sit back, relax. We're going to talk about a tough subject today. Unfortunately, it's a very popular one, and that is bullying. And you know, I remember bullying as the old movie in 1980, of which was called Meet My Bodyguard. And it used to be where you would sit there and you would think of a bully as one individual who was either a bigger person, or or somebody who was just a little bit more over the top as far as being aggressive. And the old saying was, they would steal your lunch money, and take your lunch money, or your milk money, or whatever the case may be. Well, folks, bullying has changed. Bullying is not just one individual anymore. Bullying is something that has turned out to be an entire industry of its own, through many numerous ways, that absolutely is astounding to even think about. For instance, you have bullying, which we know as from school, or from the neighborhood, so to speak. But now we've also got other things like cyberbullying. Cyberbullying happens to be one of the more popular subjects right now because it's created a lot of strife in a lot of families and a lot of tragedy in a lot of families because of it. Stemming anywhere from racial bullying, gender bullying, bullying of parents, parental bullying, bullying of animals, texting, using texting to bully, intellectual bullying. These are all things that stem from somebody who is trying to make themselves look better at the expense of another. And it just has turned out to be something that I, for one, am appalled as to how it started. And I'll tell you another thing that I'm guilty. I'm guilty of my own type of bullying. I had a next door neighbor who was pretty high strung, and he would run around and we would play sports and stuff like that, and he had a motor that I could not keep up with. And I believe he had ADHD, and I'll be honest with you, there were many times as to where it's like we would wrestle around, and I would listen to what was in the background, and certainly I would put him in positions that he wasn't able to get out of, and because of his condition, which he had that high motor, he kept coming back for more. So I thought that he's having fun or whatever the case may be, and I was definitely having fun because it was making me look good, because I could definitely beat him because I was older and I was a little bit bigger than he was. So that's not something I'm very proud of, and I'll be honest with you, that man is significantly larger than I am right now, and he actually works as a fire chief in my hometown. And I can't be any more proud of him, but I gotta admit, I had absolutely nothing to do with it. But that's something that comes to my mind. I know my friend Wayne here had a situation with bullying, and I'm going to have him talk to us about his particular experience with it, and and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Shane. My story with bullying. I grew up kind of feeling bullied a lot when I was younger. In the sense of where I was living, it was having no voice in my house, basically. My parents were very much our rules, our house, you do what we say, kind of. But at least I took it to an extreme where I really felt like I had no voice, where I could, so I felt really bullied by them all the time. And that caused a lot of stress with me, and a lot of anxiety, a lot of not wanting to be around the house, but also knowing that I had to be around the house at certain times or I'd get in a lot of trouble. we had be home for dinner and those kind of things. And if you were late, you got in trouble, and getting in trouble was a pretty serious thing. So there was that. Always felt on edge over it. Okay, that's kind of my background there. And it was one incident that happened. It spanned a year, really between two separate incidents. Where I was in eighth grade, some kid hit me in the head with a wrench. He may have been bullying me for a long period of time. Or I do know that I had very, very negative feelings toward this kid. As I recall, he was a little shorter than I was. Whatever, but he hit me in the head with a wrench one time outside class between classes, and
Before you get your video camera is off there. Do you have
and that's not. I see my video light is on. So
okay. Well,
that's a picture.
Like I said, it's the first.
You are seeing me.
Okay. All right. It's the first show, so I just want to make sure that
if my video was working right before. So I have no idea.
We're gonna go right on. So.
But it was, it hit me with a ring, and I think maybe something inside snapped a little bit, but not right in the moment. Okay. And then for a year, I stewed on this. And that also does a little bit of internal damage, I think, over the long term. Filling your body with negativity, your mind with negative thoughts, and just like, the things that I would do to this guy if I had the chance, kind of thing. And that built up, and it certainly didn't help just with the way things were at home. Home wasn't exactly a safe place to go to unwind and let some of that feelings out. So about a year later, I was in a class with him. It was an English class. I think we did a writing assignment. And he was sitting in the same row that I was sitting in. I was in the back of the classroom, halfway down the row. And I, on my bit of writing, I walked to the teacher's desk and dropped off the paper and was walking back to my desk. And then it was just a perfect moment in my mind. It was a perfect moment. I was standing behind him, just behind him. He was looking forward, or he was still writing, whatever he was doing. He was still writing, just kind of hunched over his desk a little bit. And I decided to just start pounding his head into the desk. Was it a year's worth of pent-up frustration, or was it a lifetime? Was it directed at a lot of people? Was it directed at somebody else? I don't know, but I had to be pulled off him. It wasn't something that I stopped. I had to be pulled off, and we were both sent to the office. Because I was not a trouble at school student. I mean, I got the little things that you do. Maybe I remember the biggest thing I would get in trouble for is after a PE class, when you get changed and you get back to go, we had to stay behind some line on the floor, arbitrary line, but then you got 50 kids behind you, and every once in a while you get pushed over the line because there's this, and then principal's office, that you standing over the line. That's what I would get in trouble for. And then the lesson there was don't be first after gym. Well, anyway, after the result of this was I had to eat lunch in the principal's office for a week. And the other kid got suspended. He was a troublemaker. He was a known troublemaker. And he was involved in a fight. He wasn't fighting. He was wedged in one of those little writing desks, grade school desk. You're kind of sitting in the desk, built into with a chair. And he was. But it was a horrible situation. But I didn't feel. I don't know did I feel good about it afterwards. I think in a way, yeah. Is it the way I want to feel? Do I want to have to be able to do that? I don't. But it was it was terrible that I had to live with this because of somebody deciding that hit me in the head with a wrench was a good idea. And maybe I could have dealt with it better afterwards. But I was, eighth grade. What do I know? I couldn't talk about it at home. I didn't feel safe talking about it there. I didn't really feel like I had any safe outlets. And so it was something that I had to keep inside until it came out in a not too pleasant way.
Yeah. Thanks, Wayne, for telling us that story. It's courageous, to talk about it, because it's something that, I know when I was bullied, that's not something that I talked about a lot. And I remember as a young boy, I was about 8 or 9 years old, and this older kid at the time, in my neighborhood, he was about 16 or something around there, and we were playing baseball and stuff, and he just happened to make me look, like I was I didn't belong really, and he made me feel as if like he could hurt me at any time. And there was one day as to where hurting me, and I knew well enough to go towards my house, and I knew that in order to get into my front yard, so to speak, and I lived in a trailer park at the time, and so as I'm walking into my front yard, I knew that my father was home, but I didn't know if he was around because he's always out, working on somebody's car or something like that. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, you want to be careful because my father's home and everything, but I was kind of like trying to tell him, it's like I don't know if he's home or not, but I'm gonna say that he is. And one of the more prouder moments a son has for their father, in this instance, was I was backed up into my porch, and I was about ready to get pummeled by this kid. And next thing I know, I look up, and there's my father, Superman, jumping over me, over my head, and onto that younger man, and he gave him a few spankings and sent him on his merry way. But that's something that I'll never forget. But that was a good one. One of the ones that I had also wasn't all that good. I happened to be playing monster ball, which is with a kickball and a bat, and it was raining, but we were a bunch of kids that didn't know better. We were just going to play in the rain anyways, and it was slippery. And what happened is that this young girl went ahead and she hit the ball, and it went to me, and I happened to be able to throw pretty good. And make a long story short, when I threw the ball at her, it wiped out her feet, and she fell and hit the ground and in the mud and everything. And I actually felt very bad for it, and I literally turned around so that she didn't see me laugh. And so, but what was the problem is that everybody else around us were laughing, and she got upset, and so next thing I know, she's picking up this aluminum bat, and she's following me, and I happen to put my left arm I put out in front of me, and she hit me with a bat. And bottom line is that she broke my arm, and I knew it because I've had broken arms before. Uh, anyways, so here it is. I know I've got a broken arm, and I did retaliate in a way that I'm not proud of, but I did retaliate. I ended up kind of pushing her into the mud puddle on my way towards going home. As I'm going home, I can hear the kids in the background all laughing and making fun of this situation that was really not funny at all. It was very serious, and she ended up getting up and she ran behind me and pushed me from behind. And as I'm pushed from behind, my instincts were to throw my hands out in front of me so that I would, when I land on the ground, I wouldn't get hurt. I ended up dislocating my elbow because I used a broken arm to try to break my fall. So that's one of the few bullying incidents in my life that I'll never forget. And something else I won't forget is somebody who was very close to me said to me afterwards that I got what I deserved, and that's something that has never left me, because that told me that it was okay for somebody to hit me with a baseball bat. And that's a literal sense, and I have to give you a disclaimer. I do deal with distorted thoughts. I do deal with mental illness and self-loathing, so I can definitely take it in a whole other realm of things. But that's something that's what it used to be before. It's like, well, these are kids being kids, and so but You think about that. You know, a kid being a kid is not using an aluminum baseball bat to swing at somebody, you know, who's basically defenseless aside from their own bones. And you know, but anyways, that was back then, you know, and as bad as that sounds, that is a walk in the park compared to what some bullying goes on nowadays. I mean, we've got incidences where people are literally going outside of their house, walking around with the intent of knocking somebody out. It's called the knockout game, and it's something that people, you know, it's been shown on the news. It's been shown on different articles in the newspaper, all over the place. People are literally going and preying on people who don't know what's going to happen, and they throw everything. They throw their body into this one punch that knocks a person out, and then leave them. And what's crazy is that they actually take pictures of this, you know, because everybody's got a picture nowadays, because all you have to do is have a cell phone. So they're taking pictures of this, and you know, so I mean, they're not all that bright, and a lot of them do get in trouble. But you know, think about that mentality. You know, it's like, I'm going out to go knock somebody out that I have no idea who the hell that is. You know, I'm just going to do it just because I want to do it. And you know, I used to box a little bit. I used to throw hands a little bit. I know what it's like to knock somebody out, and I know what it's like to be knocked out. And I'll tell you right here and now, the body is not meant to be knocked out. It's just not. You know, it's not. It doesn't like it much at all. You know, it reacts in different ways. And one of the things that I've noticed over time, and Wayne, you might want to chime in a little bit too, is that the emergence of mixed martial arts, you know, UCF and you know, MMA and everything, and you've got people that are out there who are using some moves that can debilitate a person seriously. And you know, it's like you've got younger generations sitting there using these moves that are not meant for everybody to use. You know, I dare say they're not meant for any use whatsoever aside from self-defense. But you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not against the sport. I'm not against UCF. I'm not against MMA. Aside from the fact that I do believe that there should be a disclaimer in the beginning of the show, as to where it's like, you know, yes, we do this. We don't recommend that you do this.
Do not try this at home.
Exactly. You know, because I mean, there's a video, and I meant to pull it up, and I couldn't find it. But there was a video that was going around Facebook not that long ago. And what it was is that it was a young girl and a guy, and they were in the living room, and they were sitting there, and they've got like 5, 6 other guys there, and they're at a party, and they're obviously not, you know, they're obviously intoxicated. So they decide that they're going to fight, right? Kind of like the guy, kind of like doing a play fight. You know, I mean, he actually literally picks her up and her onto the floor, and you can hear her hit the floor, and you could tell that he was trying to do it nicely, you know, as much as nice as could be. But then what happens is she goes ahead, she gets up, she goes around, she puts a sleeper hold on the guy, stands up, and lays back down, and then arches her back to the point as to where, and she has all intentions of knocking this kid out. And what are the people that are around her doing?
Cheering, shouting.
Cheering, you know, making a video of it, sitting there and laughing about it. Meanwhile, this kid is literally spasming. He's having seizures on the floor, and she's not letting go. And you know, it's like, it was just one of those things, and it was like, and this happens every day. You know, I mean, but I don't want to get too far off the subject. that's what bullying is nowadays. The kid who hit you with a wrench, was he by himself?
Yeah, there's the two of us outside.
It was just one on one. Nowadays, you've got groups that are going around that are picking on one individual. I mean, talk about, ridiculous cowardness. I mean, now you don't just have one on one where, we see who it is who's gonna make out, as far as at the end of this fight. Now we've got 5, 6, 7 people who are around watching the fight, seeing it going wrong, and sitting there cheering about it and wanting the most to happen, which would be a knockout. And, it's like, that's the mentality that is damn well scary when it comes to bullying. And what do you think about that, Wayne?
That's hopefully, yeah. answer your question. I don't even know if we're...
No, I mean, it fit because, you know, and with your situation, you also had retaliation or payback. And, you know, what's unfortunate is that some of the worst tragedies that we've had in our history as far as young people was a result of bullying in a large scale. I mean, you know, you look at, you know, people don't want to talk about it, but the bottom line is that, like, the situation that happened in Columbine, you know, you've got kids that were there, that were literally, their lives were threatened, and they said at the end, and they continue to say, that Dylan Klebold and I forget the other gentleman's name right off the top of my head. They were bullied because of the way that they dressed and the way that they acted, and that they, you know, and that they weren't at all surprised. They weren't at all happy, and they weren't at all condoning, and I don't condone anything that happened that day. But they did say that they're not surprised. Another young tragedy was when a 13-year-old in Arkansas or no, I'm sorry, in Oklahoma, literally laid in wait. He was bullied for the week before. He laid in wait with a rifle, started a fire alarm, and waited for those kids to come out of the school, out of the front doors of the school, and then open fire. You know, again, I'm not condoning anything that was done that day, but what I am saying is that there are people out there that were part of that situation that would say that he was bullied severely the week before. You know, there's one on Facebook right now. A gentleman, I believe he was in Arkansas. I believe that's why I had said Arkansas before. His daughter, it was a white gentleman, and he has a beautiful African American daughter. And there were two young boys who were bullying her. And they actually called and tormented her and texted her continuously on her phone. And the father was so upset about this that he thought, well, what I need to do is I need to talk to the boys' parents, because that's what we do. That's because bullying is not that big of a deal. I mean, it's been going on for long periods of time. I mean, ever since you can remember, which is long before I was, and so it wasn't that big of a deal. I'll just call the parents. They'll punish their sons, and then we can move on. Well, the man went ahead. The daughter's father went ahead and called the son's father, and he found out why it is that the sons believe that they're well within their right to bully, because their father was everything the bullier that they were, and calling derogatory names and so forth. And it sounded he sounded like he was intoxicated, because the daughter's father went ahead and said, I'm going to put this on YouTube. I am going to broadcast this, because the guy, the son's father, went ahead and called and left a voice message, which was in a derogatory remarks and everything like this. And he told him, I'm gonna put this on the news, and he did. And it's a big thing on YouTube. I mean, I think it was like 500,000 views or something like that, like instantly. And it was on the news and so forth. As a result, the gentleman that is the father of the two sons that were doing the bullying, he's since been fired from his job, and he's being definitely looked upon differently in his hometown. I mean, it's just a very unfortunate sense of what stemmed out from bullying, and what isn't that big of a deal, but that's what happens. It snowballs into what can be out of control, to the point as to where things happen nowadays that didn't happen before. There's this young lady, Amanda Todd. She was cyberbullied relentlessly. She made a mistake. She exposed herself on the internet on a video cam and by flashing. And she was a very younger girl and everything. And so the result is that she was constantly bullied by this group of people, and they would send her text messages, they would send her emails, they would bully her at school, they would on the computer, they would call her house, everything. Well, here's the bottom line: the young lady committed suicide.
She drank bleach, right?
Yeah, and she drank bleach, and she also she cut her wrist too. But the thing is, that's not unusual nowadays, because the bullying is so mean spirited, so it's to the point as to where it's just you can't take anymore. And so now the decisions that are being made are based off of bullying, and people really don't. Some people out there. I was actually looking at one of the videos of Amanda Todd, and you would be appalled at the comments that were made. Now, I know that people make comments on these videos just to get attention. I'm well aware of that. But there are some comments there that said, well, she shouldn't have done what she did. Well, what did she do? She made a mistake. You know what I mean? And did it really warrant to cost the young lady's life? I mean, and it's like, but that's the thing. It's like what it seems is from a lot of the different comments that I've seen and so forth. It's like, hey, we dealt with bullying. What is our son dealt with bullying? Why wouldn't my younger boy deal with it?
One thing that I know is different over the a lot of young girls forever have exposed their breasts to groups of young guys or to one young guy. They do it it's a flash. I mean, and that's even the word flash, because it's over and done. Right. It's not a flash anymore. It's not over and done. It gets captured on a camera, either on your own web camera or somebody who's watching has a camera, and it's instantly uploaded to the internet, and now it's there forever. So where for all of human existence it was a one-time mistake that could be forgotten, because maybe it's between two people or five people, and people talk about it, but but now it lives forever, and it's these small mistakes that people have made forever now have this carry on, because it can never go away. You can never get it off the internet once it gets on the internet. So, but what do you tell young girls? Oh, you don't ever flash. I mean, you could try and tell them that, but I'm sure people have been telling their kids that forever. I mean, I don't remember them, encouraging young girls to flash boys. Probably told them don't do it. They still did it, and they're going to do it in the future. So that's going to happen. But what we can stop is people who use it as an opportunity to constantly harass people. That is something we can stop. We can interrupt that. We can stop that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it needs to start from the adults. I mean, it's not just the kids. The kids, they need to learn from role models, and they need to go from there. I mean, that's a whole other subject. And let me make this clear: we're not going to solve this problem with this little podcast of mine. Even if I was to do this podcast for a year straight, every single hour of every day, we wouldn't fix this problem. But the idea, and we're going to talk about this again, because I do believe that this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and it's also something that I think is important, for us to talk about in depth and to shine awareness on it, and to, I kind of liken it to, shining the light in a dark room. All the cockroaches disappear. You know, you see them all, phew, they're gone, they're running. Well, that's what I want to do. You know, it's like I want to make this clear. You know, bullying is not okay. It is not okay in any way. If I was to do a slogan for bullying, it's not okay to do in any way. Period. You know, and you know, it's not. And we've talked about some serious situations in regards to humans and young children and even adults. What about bullying towards animals? You know, I mean, there are people that are out there that literally laugh at watching animals get abused by younger children. You know, I mean, I with this younger boy, he was about, I don't know, he wasn't even 6 years old, and his cat, which he got for his birthday, by the way, was going inside the house. And for some reason, the kid did not want him inside the house. So what he would do, he'd pick up this cat, and the cat was relatively a good-sized cat. And he walked down the driveway, and he'd heave the cat into the road. So, okay, so he does it once. All right. So the kid goes, well, in the meantime, the next door neighbor is sitting there, and he's doing his leaves at the time. And he had his cell phone. Like I said, everybody's got a camera nowadays, folks. So, you know, it's like you're not going to get away with much. So, you know, he has a cell phone. He's actually he's appalled by what he's seeing. So now he's actually video cameraing this boy. This boy did this, and I'm not gonna labor on it. The boy threw the cat out in the middle of the road 5 times. And to the point as to where now, as he threw him out in the middle of the road, the cat was tired or hurt, one or the other, and stayed in the road for a while. So as the boy's sitting there, and the boy was going to go after the cat again, after the 5th time, the next door neighbor says, "What are you doing?" And it scared the boy, and the boy knew he was in trouble, and he ran inside the house. Now, I know that the boy, he's young, doesn't know everything, what's going on. Where does he come up with the idea to pick up a cat and throw it out into the middle of the road? He doesn't know whether or not that there's going to be cars coming down that road. And here's another question for you folks. Why does it take 5 times before somebody says, "What are you doing?" You know, I mean, it's like, it should have been the 2nd time. First time, you're startled. You're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" 2nd time, he picks up that cat, launches it into the middle of the road. The question is, what are you doing? You know, and that's what needs to be done these days. Because as the young boy didn't stop, either does the group of 5 people that are against the one person. Either does the cyberbullying that comes on the computer, or comes on the text messages, or comes on the voicemails. This doesn't stop. Bullying doesn't stop until there's a breaking point nowadays. And that breaking point is dangerous. And it's something that we, you know, it's like we're gonna tie up the show pretty soon. But it's something that we're going to talk about, and we're going to talk about at a lengthy period about it, and because I think that it's something that can go real deep compared to where we are right now, and you know, so as you can see, I'm impassioned about the subject, but we're to the point as to where we're going to talk about the second part of what brought Arisen Strength back, and it happens to deal with bullying. I happen to be, as I said, I've dealt with mental health issues. I've dealt with depression and PTSD. And sometimes I have my mindset is in a depressed mode. So what I'll do in order to distract that is I'll watch motivational video on YouTube. And I happen to search for motivation, and it happened to come out for the X Factor, which is a talent show on one of the stations. I'm not going to plug the network because I don't even know what it is. But so I'm watching it, and folks, I'm going to show you the actual video that I watched, and I want to see, what it is that, if you folks can relate to what I saw, and you might even hear me. I might even have a tear, because I got to tell you, I've had tears with this video a number of times. So I'm going to play this video, and I hope you enjoy. Folks, I hope you saw that. It was showing on my screen, but I'm being told that some might not have been able to see it. But I hope you did. If you did, that was Jillian Jennison. And the bottom line is that she was severely bullied, and she ended up going on the X Factor. And to make a long story short, she was very good at singing, but she started to cry. And I don't know about you, but when I start to cry and I'm singing, it's not a pretty sight. And when I sing, it's not a pretty sight. But when I'm crying and singing, it really isn't a good thing. But here's the thing: it actually worked out well. And there was this point in time where Jillian went ahead and she did this move, of which I'm gonna go back to the video, and I'm hoping that you're seeing this. If you're not, we'll definitely show it again once we figure it out. But there's a point in time where she starts, and the camera goes directly to her father, and her father is literally praying. You can see him. He's literally got his hands folded and interlocked in front of him, and you can see the amount of pride that's on his face for what his daughter is doing right now, and it probably has nothing to do with the performance itself, as opposed to what it is that she's been through and how she got there, and then on top of it, she does this move, of which I'm gonna play it again, but I just I want to say, if you're not seeing it, I promise you, you're not going to. Here it comes. Woo! Tell you, that move right there, when she looks up into the sky, and before she even notices it, her feet are moving about 3 steps back, and she's right on point. I mean, it's right there. And her mother literally almost collapses when she does this, and she starts crying, and it's just an amazing moment. The crowd goes absolutely insane. She could have absolutely stopped singing from that point on, and she was going to go through the show. But here's the thing: I literally saw that move, and it not only encouraged me, it literally made me weep. It made me actually have tears, to where I actually watched the show. I watched it over and over. That one move, I actually knew exactly when to go back to it. It was at 1:10 of the minute that I went back to, and kept on playing that move, and it was like 30 times or something like that. So finally, I went ahead and I let it go further. And here's the thing: the judge, okay, Demi Lovato, she actually sings the song professionally, of the song "Who You Are," and what turns out, Demi was actually brutally bullied when she was younger. So much, in fact, she stopped singing. She stopped her career. She had extreme depression, along with other things. And I'm not saying that's the only thing that was going on, but she literally stopped singing. And now she sings, and she's also an advocate in regards to bullying. And but here it is. This young lady who was bullied is singing the same song as this judge, and she's crying, and then Demi was also crying as well, on the stage. There wasn't anybody who wasn't crying. Let me make that clear. So then they go and they hug, and they do whether or not that she makes it through the show. And it was 2 years ago. I can tell you, she makes it through the show. She goes pretty good. She's not the champion, but she does a really good job. But here's the thing. This is what this show is made of. This is what Arisen Strength is all about. Not only if can you imagine if Jillian's talent was suppressed because of the bullying that she had received over a long period of time? If it was suppressed, not only would she not have had the opportunity that she had, not only would she be able to use the skill that she had, but the whole world that has seen this video and who had watched it on TV would have never had that experience. Her father would have never had that experience. Her mother would have never had that experience, because that would have never happened if that dream, that talent was suppressed. And that's what I'm talking about, because that's why I insist on trying to help those who have problems in their life, who have situations in their life that have happened, that they've been blindsided by life. They have illness, they have tragedy, whatever the case may be. These talents, these dreams, just like Jillian's, are there, and they're within us, and they need to be taken seriously again. And for whatever reason, we put them deeper and deeper into this treasure chest until we finally rationalize and say to ourselves, it just wasn't meant to be. Or worse, we literally give up on it. And and that's what it is that I am. That's where Arisen Strength was born on, was to be able to pull those dreams, to be able to support, the support, encourage, and to celebrate. And we just celebrated, folks. We just celebrated an example of not letting those dreams, those talents, be suppressed by something that happened to them in the past or currently. And that's what this show is all about. I know it was the first episode. I definitely appreciate your patience. I promise it's going to get even better. And we're going to have some fantastic dreams, talents, and experiences to go by, to celebrate with. But we're also going to be talking about some really tough subjects, just like we did today. To where we're gonna learn a lot, and we're gonna be encouraged. That's why we ask you to go ahead and participate with us on Twitter. Use hashtag Arisen Strength. It's all one word. In Facebook, Arisen Strength is there. And our email as well is arisenstrength@gmail.com. And you can see our contact page right now. Those are the three ways to contact us. Please do contact us. Let us know what it is that you thought about the show that you saw tonight. Let us know what it is about your experiences. If you have experiences with bullying, if you have experiences with depression, if you have experiences with domestic violence, whatever the case may be, contact us, because these are the subjects that we want to talk about, and we need the feedback from our members, so that we can be even better for all of you and all of us concerned. So I want to say thank you for your time. Wayne, I want to say thank you for your help. And we'll be back here again next Thursday at 8 p.m. And we'll send out the notices for the subject that we're going to talk about, and we'll go from there. Thank you, folks. Have a great night.